Hateful people want to drive us back into closets and to live our lives in fear, but we cannot be afraid.
We are not competing in the pronoun sweepstakes in the state of Florida.
They have put men in our little girls' bathrooms, sports, locker rooms, playing fields, and seem to care less about women's rights whatsoever.
When I chose the prompt, in the next 20 years, what is the most important change that you would like to see in America, I thought I knew what my answer was. It took lots of thinking to get my response, and it came down to the most recent change to legislation around the LGBTQ youth.
More than 525 anti-LGBTQ+ bills have been introduced this year in the states.
These bills felt so sudden when they started popping up left and right about the LGBTQ youth. Unfortunately, most of these bills were not helping, but harming everyone, especially the LGBTQ community. I interviewed Dr. Elaine Maceo, a professor at Louisiana State University who has been vocal about education around the LGBTQ community, even creating courses of study.
It's not how these bills could affect LGBTQ youth, it's how these bills are affecting, because they're already in place and they already are affecting LGBTQ+ youth.
There have been 507 anti-LGBTQ laws proposed in 2023. According to the ACLU, 84 passed, 192 advancing, and 227 defeated. These bills, even if not passed, spread hate, misinformation, and anti-LGBTQ propaganda.
All these bills do is make adults comfortable and make LGBTQ+ youth uncomfortable about themselves, and heterosexual youth uncomfortable about their LGBTQ+ peers.
One of these bills I focused on, commonly called the Don't Say Gay bill, has spread across the country. In my home state of Louisiana, this bill is HB 466. It states teachers may not bring up sexual orientation or gender identity in the classroom, and no school employee shall use pronouns for a student that differ from the pronouns that reflect the sex indicated on the student's birth certificate unless the student's parent provides written permission. While giving the option to get written permission from a parent is included, the student may not be ready to tell their parents, or this would cause harm to the student if the parent were opposed to this.
We don't allow this in our schools, and we don't now in Florida, we've banned teachers from forcing students to choose pronouns.
This could hurt somebody mentally and emotionally. While someone may be looking for acceptance or support, they will be turned down because it, quote, shouldn't be in the classroom. Louisiana's Representative Mike Johnson, the new Speaker of the House, has been blunt about this topic.
Or by social coercion from teachers, professors, administrators, and left-wing media, it's an aggressive attempt to transition the young people of our children.
Politicians on a nation and state level have been vocally opposed while also supporting legislation against the LGBTQ community. I talked to State Representative Gabe Ferment, who was the main author of a bill on this topic.
There's no question that gender dysphoria, which is simply confusion about one's biological sex, is very prevalent in children, very prevalent in teenagers, and without question, it is a social contagion driven by social media.
This idea that youth at school could be turned gay by exposure to gender and pronouns is just wrong. The new generation is much more accepting, and now people feel safer about coming out.
All these bills do is make some people feel so bad about themselves that they will eventually complete suicide. Talking about sexual orientation and gender identity doesn't make young people LGBTQ+.
This leads me to the next bill, HB 648. In Louisiana, authored by Representative Ferment, similar bills have also been proposed across the United States. They would prohibit procedures to alter the sex of a minor child and restrict access to puberty blockers or any type of hormones for gender-affirming medication.
Really what we're talking about is experimental sex change procedures on kids, which medical science has proven to be harmful, that the risk greatly outweigh any benefit.
The word mutilation is a very common word in this discussion. It's among the words used to spread fear about this topic, as if kids will have their bodies ruined.
Instead of questioning the root cause of that feeling, that child will more likely than not be on a fast track to gender reassignment surgery, or otherwise known as genital mutilation.
We see adults inflicting unspeakable harms on helpless children to affirm the adult's own worldview, that gender is somehow fluid, that sex can be surgically altered, that there are no lasting consequences of all this madness as a result of the sex change procedures.
In fact, and especially when it comes to children, it seems to me that gender-affirming care is better described as sexual lobotomy.
Gender-affirming care does not involve genital surgery in minors, and no medical interventions are provided before the age of puberty.
Now I would like to read a message from a close friend who is trans. If these bills don't take a change soon, my life and the lives of many more trans youth will be at risk. Youth, especially in the transgender and LGBTQ community, face harassment as a part of their everyday lives solely because of their gender identity and sexuality. In my own life, I haven't been able to express my gender identity to most people because of the fear of the consequences that could result in getting bullied, bad mental health, and possible physical abuse. In the future, we need to stop for this because I'm tired of having to hide who I am because of the fear of harassment or pain. As I look into the next 20 years, I hope to see changes in accepting and realizing that this is not just some phase, but how we are progressing. People need to be accepted for who they are and given the same human rights as everybody around them.